Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. My name is Dave Savage. If you have not already, make sure you've connected with me on LinkedIn, Facebook. If you use Instagram, connect with me there. You are family, and you are on the Mortgage Coach team. Also, I hope everybody has downloaded our apps. The Rate Watch app, you've installed that, and the Core Mortgage Coach app. So every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific, we are interviewing awesome loan officers, authors, speakers, trainers. My vision for Tuesday is that anybody that can inspire you, get you to really connect at a deep level with what are some great ideas and strategies, and to just talk about ideas and strategies. Our other calls are about the tactics, about drilling down on the details. So last week I was at Sales Mastery. We had a lot of great mortgage coach leaders that were on stage at Sales Mastery. Danny, I don't know, we somehow left Danny out here. But Danny Herrera has been a great mortgage coach leader. His picture's not on here, but he's doing a great job. Little bit of feedback from Sales Mastery. There were so many takeaways I got from Sales Mastery last week, but my favorite was the one I got. Hey, by the way, Josh, we can hear you, so put it on mute, or if you need to. Or I don't know, maybe you've got two speakers going. But my favorite takeaway from Tom Ferry was his focus on video. When I asked him, what advice do you have for the mortgage coach community? I didn't know what he was going to say. I didn't know where he was going to go with it. But backstage, he did about a 2-minute, 1 minute and 53-second rant. And I urge you guys to watch it. It's on our YouTube channel. It's one of the most recent videos uploaded. Marcy, if you could put a link in the chat, I would love to get all mortgage coach members through this. Also, it's something that would be worth sharing to your realtors. It's just a good Tom Ferry rant on what should loan officers be doing from backstage at Sales Mastery. Also, a couple briefs on last week's call with Sarah Middleton. So I interviewed Sarah from Sales Mastery, and a couple of her quotes that really connected with me. I love this one. We have the choice. We have the choice every day to be bitter or be better. I don't know about you, but I'm making that choice every day. Just be better. Also loved her quote about sitting is the new smoking. If you didn't listen to that call with Sarah last week, really urge that you do it. She's just got a tremendous amount of wisdom and passion for our industry, some great takeaways, control what comes into your mind. And as I kick off the call, I bring in this week's guest, Josh Middleton. I think this quote from Sarah, own your story, know your why, and now you can implement your what. And without clarity around that, we just can't achieve our best. So Josh, welcome to Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. It's good to have you back in the community, brother.
Glad to be here. I didn't know I ever left, but anyways, I'm glad to be here.
Well, you're not on the Tuesday call every week. I think I started trying to get you in this interview. I don't know, it was like 8 months ago, and you were so focused, and you're just like, Dave, I gotta have my head down. I've got some big goals, but I will do it in the year, and it's gonna be awesome. So I'm glad you made time, brother.
Now it's time to put up.
Yeah. So by the way, before we get into some of the meat of the call, and when I did reach out, I mean, a takeaway I had, and I've had this takeaway with other top performers that I know love to teach, love to lead, but you also know when to say no. You know when to say, you know what, I need to control my time, I need to control my focus. And so you told me no a couple times before you said yes. So what was, before we get into, the plan conversation, what was the big goal that got you to tell me no before I finally got you on a call?
That's a great question. I'm getting some feedback there. It's not a speaker on my end, so you know.
Yeah, no, it is on your end, Josh. So your audio, you looks like you're logged in twice. We have you logged in 2 times. Oh, 3 times now, Josh. Hey, Josh, if you're giving people your link, don't ever do that. It looks like 3 different people have logged in as you.
Got it.
Okay, you sound good now. Marcy was able to use something.
Thanks, Marcy. Okay, so back to the why on the no. This year we had a goal to double our production, double the number of families that we were going to help into homes, and And so as we came down kind of our hot season, the busy relocation, the summer season, it got crazy, as anything does when you try and double production. And I had to, get agreement from really a lot of important people in my life that I had to say no to things. So no summer vacations, no phone calls with Dave, and it's just a season that we had to burn through to hit those numbers and hit that goal. And we did it. But I think that's a great question. I think that's something that people feel all the time. They're stretched in too many directions, and it's hard to say no, especially to somebody you care for. But if you can create reality with them and tell them why and get them to understand, it's a definite key to success.
So what was the goal? What was the new, call it next level goal, just so we have what is that? Number before, number now.
Our team goal this year was 700 families helped and $250 million in production.
So everybody, I hope another takeaway for what you just pulled from Josh. When we asked him, when I usually ask a loan officer, what's your goal? I hear loans closed, production. Sometimes I hear I want to make X amount of money. Typically I never hear the word family. The goal is not built around the family, and typically that's not the number one goal. So I don't think it was by accident, and I think it just goes for Josh's values, how he sets goals, and how he sets them around his values. So that's awesome. I mean, that's a massive number of families to impact. And when everybody on this call, think about it. For every family that you actually help into a mortgage, you didn't win every loan. So you had to talk to multiple families to win that business. And then let's face it, every time that you win a family's business and you close their loan, there were a number of stakeholders around that transaction that were either all aligned and following suit, or they were distractors that cost you a lot of time. So, think about when you really think of the amount of people, human beings that you help, Josh, I mean, we're starting to get into the thousands that you communicated in order to do those 750. So
yeah, that's a good point.
All right, guys. So if you did not listen to the call that Josh and I did, I think it was about a year ago, it was an awesome call. We had a lot of people on the call. It was watched over 1,600 times. So I just consider that core training. At the time I did that interview, Josh had only been a mortgage coach for, what was it, like 6 months? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that was about right.
And Josh, real quick, you didn't just, you knew about Mortgage Coach for a long time. You knew it would be better, but you did have a little bit of a challenge building it into your work process. If you could just kind of remind us of that story of how you became a mortgage coach real quick.
Well, the first time that I heard about Mortgage Coach was my coach Bill Hart was harping on me to pick up Edge and to use this in my presentations. And I just kept telling Bill how busy I was, and I was too busy to pick up one more thing. I just couldn't handle it. And so I think he told me, a dozen times in coaching sessions over a year that I had to try this. And so finally I broke down and had succumbed to that. I think he blackmailed me somehow, actually. And so I literally did. I think he gave me a choice of 2 homework assignments. So this was the easier of the 2. And so we started down that path, and I struggled with it. I had a hard time breaking my process because anybody who has good production numbers has a very systematic way about how they do things, and there's not a lot of extra margin in their life. And so you can pound through 10 financing proposals in a day, and then you got to put the brakes on and stick it in reverse and do a new system. It slows you down. So I struggled with that a little bit. You were really, really gracious with me. I remember after about a month of trying, I think I'd done about 6 or maybe 8 edges. I had a phone call with you. I'll never forget it. And I said, Dave, I just don't see the value in this edge thing. It takes way too much time, and I don't really see why it's a benefit. And at that point, I thought you were going to hang up on me. And you said, okay, I got it. That just means I haven't shown you how great Edge is, or something to that effect. I haven't taken the proper amount of time to educate you on Edge, and that's my fault. I just thought, wow, that's great. So you did. We did a few more calls, and actually Jeremy Forcier was super kind to me and walked me through his system and how he does things. and the rest is history. Caught fire from there.
Yeah, well, I remember that, Josh. And by the way, from my memory, at the time you called me, you were going to give up. You were less than 5 TCAs,
Yep.
and by the time you finally decided that I can do this thing, it was somewhere north of 8, north of 10, and then you'd figured out how to do it quickly, efficiently, and build it into your process. Because at the end of the day, your process is your product, and it's always tough to change that for when you're a badass like yourself. So, so Josh, I know you were impacted by the interview I did with Simon Sinek. I don't know how long ago that was, but a couple months ago. Why don't you, tell what you pulled out of that interview, and let's talk about the whole why piece before we get into the tactics of strategies. So, what did you pull out of that?
There's a lot in that video, and I've probably watched it at least a dozen times. Subsequently, I bought his book, and I've read his book, and then, I listened to the interview that you guys did together, which was great. The first thing, and so I guess there's layers. It kind of hit me in different dynamics, different ways, but the first thing is the way that people sell, or most organizations sell, is backwards, right? It's, we do this, and if you get lucky, they'll say, here's why, here's how we do it, and then maybe there's a little bit of why, but rarely ever. It's always just what. This is what we do. And the what we do is really all about the person selling the product, and it's kind of a turnoff. And that's why we kind of push back in most marketing or media advances toward this. But the thing about his why does exactly the opposite. Instead of repelling you with a message of what we do, we're great, I picture me beating my chest, it says why we do it. So, we treat you this way because we believe in honoring all those who seek our advice. We believe in treating others the way that we want to be treated. And then there's something in that message of why that connects you to that person, and then you want, or that organization, and then you want to find out a little bit more. Well, how do you do that? Well, what is it exactly that you do? And it opens the door. So that's maybe my first takeaway from that YouTube video. If you guys haven't watched that, it's a must in my opinion.
Good. So now I know you've done some work on your why within your organization, and if you wouldn't mind sharing it, I've got a few slides that have quotes, but I would love to hear your color around what is the Josh Mettle team why.
Yeah, and let me just say as a disclaimer, this didn't come from me. The way that we created this is we had an advisory board within our team, and there's 7 of us, I believe, and we came up with some ideas, and we had a back and forth email communication for over a month, going back and forth trying to pick the right words that really embodied our organization and why we were all connected to this organization. And so I'll just read it to you, but it says, above all, we believe in honoring all those who seek our help by treating people with warmth, sympathy, and understanding. We exist to do unto others as we would have them do unto us if our roles were reversed. And we just felt like that was a big void in the mortgage world in terms of treating people with warmth, sympathy, and understanding. And as things get more and more complicated with disclosures and regulatory issues and this hurdle and that hurdle, I feel clients kind of getting more and more turned off. Like, man, this is just so hard. And so we really wanted to ramp up the trying to make this process as understandable and as enjoyable an experience as is humanly possible in the regulatory world that we live in.
Love it, love it. So first of all, anybody who's on this call and you feel that as a team or individually you have a really clear mortgage why, please put that in either chat of the GoToMeeting or submit that in questions. And if you do have questions you just want to make sure I ask Josh during this call, we're going pretty freestyle. While we did some prep, we're having a structured conversation. I know some questions I'm going to ask. I mean, this is going to be freestyle for the next 45 minutes. So feel free to submit your questions. Okay, so that's a great why, and again, submit your whys. So let's get into the how, And then let's talk about practically how you leverage this when you're connecting with customers and referral partners.
Yeah, sure. So interestingly enough, as I was going through this month-long process of writing our why, how, and what statements, I serve on a board for a financial service firm that works with doctors, and we had 12 doctors come in, and we did this round table. We spent 3 days with them asking a bunch of questions, and the number one thing that they wanted above and we talked about mortgage, insurance, we talked about all kinds of different financial instruments and trying to figure out what do these doctors want. And the number one thing that they wanted for mortgage, which absolutely blew me away, was trusted advice. Those two words, trusted advice. In other words, what they told me was, I'm moving too fast, on too little sleep, with too many responsibilities, and I need you to be able to give me advice that I can trust and I can figure out quickly. And I thought, wow, that is awesome. So we're going to build that right into our how. So we accomplish this. Of course, we're talking about accomplishing the why. We accomplish this by offering trusted advice, anticipating your needs, and with a commitment to deliver exactly what was promised, regardless of the difficulties that may arise.
Sounds like a great loan officer to me. Matt, I mean, if you're a family, if you are a realtor and someone can execute on that, I think that's pretty awesome. How well have you guys done? How has that impacted your team since getting clarity around it? Do you feel like you're executing better, or do you feel like you're more confident? What are some of the things that you think have been accomplished since getting this clarity?
The coolest thing about getting buy-in from your team as to what your why statement is and then how you're going to go about doing that is that every decision that you make now, you can kind of put on the lens or put through the lens of your why and your how. And so, I think I sent you an email over the weekend that we were creating a new vacation policy for our operations team because we have a season where we're super busy in the summer, and we just wanted to make sure we didn't have half our operations team out during that period. And we had to kind of make a tough decision on how that vacation policy was going to go down. And it wasn't a popular decision. It was a decision that most people probably didn't agree with. And so we said, okay, guys, let's go back to our why. If we really believe above all else in honoring those who seek our help, and we really believe that we exist to do unto others as we would want them to do unto us, then do you agree with this policy or not? And through that lens, everybody agreed. Through the lens of just thinking from your own personal perspective and what's convenient for you, people didn't agree. So I guess the coolest thing with this is once you really nail your why and your how, you're going to implement the why, then every decision can be brought back to that. Even your hiring, your firing, it just adds tremendous clarity in how you kind of set the path going forward.
Got it. So we've got the why, we've got the how. Now, really put some color around your what. What are you guys?
So we're a physician-focused mortgage company determined to provide you with an incredible mortgage experience.
Really simple, really focused, very niche. I don't want to go down a complete rabbit trail on your whole physician focus, but if you could give people color around what does that mean? What does that mean, and what kind of, how do you market? Give us a little feel for what kind of a firm that you are.
Yeah, primarily we've transitioned over the last couple of years to a consumer direct type model where we're marketing directly to the end consumer. We do have some affiliations with some financial service firms, and essentially we have just accumulated some niche products that have non-conventional Fannie Freddie normal kind of jumbo guidelines. So those things will do higher loan amounts with less down. They'll treat student loans differently than Fannie and Freddie do. They'll allow you to close unemployment contracts. Those kind of more flexible portfolio type products. And then we've taken those products and we've We've advertised those to online through our websites, through all kinds of different various marketing, Facebook and LinkedIn marketing, and then of course out directly to financial service firms and realtors that seem to kind of have the majority of their business with dealing with physicians.
So, I mean, you've really built your practice around that. When I first started talking to you a couple of years ago, prior to even being with Mortgage Coach, it was always a niche, and you always did a lot. But what percentage of your business truly is physicians versus, I guess non-physicians? What's the percentage that you actually execute around that model?
Yeah, it vacillates between about 50 and 80% per month. The summer months is a little more during the relocation season. Winter months is a little less. But on average, I'd say it's going to end somewhere about 70% of our overall business.
Well, we could do a whole call on that, just understanding how you took a niche, how you said, I'm going to be the best. I mean, I do think you probably are the best in the nation. Whether it's I do a Google search, I touch your company, it's pretty clear you are an expert around this. So it's no surprise it's how successful you are. But it is amazing that out of this niche, you're helping over 700 families a year around that. So that's crazy. So let's talk about your Mortgage Coach why. I wanted to, couple goals that Josh and I had in this call is we wanted everybody to understand the power of why. We wanted to understand Josh's story because when I had asked Josh in preparation, I know you're doing better, how much better, and why. He just kept wanting to talk about his why. He felt that this was a really important part of the success story. So let's go to your Mortgage Coach why. This is what you told me your Mortgage Coach why was a year ago. How has it changed, or has it changed?
It's only changed, I guess, evolved because of we've helped more physicians. We've had more of those come.
Marcy, is it me or is it Josh who just went out?
Can you hear me, Marcy?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So it's just evolved, Dave. And probably the biggest piece has been talking to clients, and like I mentioned on that board that I sit on, and having them tell us that the number one thing was trusted advice, and the number two thing was the ease of understanding the information, and that was almost part and parcel with trusted advice. And so, we had lots of conversations around, if I ask for 3 or 4 quotes, I'm getting on my tablet 4 2- or 3-page documents that, if I printed them all out, would probably be understandable. But in the way that we actually digest information, it just felt confusing. And when you feel confusing, they start to not trust the advice, and it doesn't look transparent. And so I guess, that statement still holds true that you have on the screen, but it's just evolved and become crystal clear to me that we have to be able to present information that is clear, transparent. You can walk somebody through it, and at the end, the person gets off the phone feeling like, hey, that was trusted advice. They taught me something that I didn't know, and I agree with them, and I didn't see that before, and now you've really created that kind of bond between you and the client.
Yeah, well, one thing I've noticed when I look at the mortgage professionals that use our product, and they use it with every family they serve, every realtor referral, every planner referral, they use it. And then the loan officers that don't, they either, don't use it consistently, or they just pull it out when they're getting grinded on rate or fees. It's just different, I mean, first, I would say that when I asked you the question this time, because I wanted to do, Josh Mettle's going from price to advice part 2. You answered the question differently. I mean, this was one of the things that you said. If you could put a little color around that. And then I wanted to share my observation from the conversations we've had about what's so different.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite marketing authors is Dan Kennedy. If anyone's never read anything from Dan Kennedy, Google him, buy one of his No BS books. So like I'm looking at one of them on my bookshelf that's No BS, Wealth Attraction in the New Economy. That's a great book. And he's got this very consistent philosophy about marketing, and it works. And so one of the things that he says is that the highest thing that you should strive for in all of your marketing is positioning with expert authority. So like the #1 expert authority would be like, bringing a movie star onto your commercial, right? That's why George Foreman sells grills, because it just works. So, we don't bring George Foreman in, but we try to create a situation where we are almost a celebrity. Almost, there's a preponderance of evidence that we're the most expert person in the field. And so we're always positioning ourselves to be experts. And that includes, writing articles, getting published, writing books, doing YouTube videos. All of that stuff helps to create the preponderance of evidence that you are the expert in the field. And so positioning with expert authority, well, Edge does that, right? It allows me to have a video to teach them something. I was talking to you about a presentation I did this morning, and if I wouldn't have run the Edge analysis, I would have given the guy wrong advice. If I'd have been using my old fee worksheets, I would have assumed the answer was A. And after doing the Edge, and I was about to film the video, and I went, oh, whoops, actually the answer might be C, depending on how long the guy wants to stay in the house. So anyways, that's positioning with expert authority. Personality marketing, people like people. And on my email signature, I've got my wife and Xander and Aria. And when I talk about kids, I always say Xander and Aria instead of my kids. I'm trying to bring people in and give them a little glimpse of who I am, because I think that it attracts other human beings. And those are who I want to do loans for. And then and last is leverage. And these are all principles that Dan Kennedy speaks of. And the cool thing about an Edge, or sometimes you'll see your video go out and get watched 7 or 8 times. Well, I guarantee you that's not the same person watching it 7 or 8 times. And so you get leverage through Edge, and that's something that I maybe didn't fully understand only being in doing 4 to 6 months of Edge. But I'll have clients that will watch an Edge, and I'll get a notice, and I sent it 3 months ago, and I go, oh, I wonder who's back in the house hunting business. And I've had clients that will send that out to advisors like CPAs or family members, and then you get a call from the family member, and they're saying, hey, I wanted to ask you about this. This was really great. By the way, would you look at my refinance? So it gives you leverage that you just can't get by sending out a fee worksheet.
Love it, love it. Well, again, coming from you, and as I've heard things evolve for you, as far as Mortgage Coach goes, when I asked you this question a year ago, it was a tool. And as I've seen you build your why, it's become so important that your value proposition is all built around your advice, transparency, delivering service. So you've really turned Mortgage Coach into something more than a tool within your organization. It'll be interesting to see as you and your team get even more clear how you continue to evolve and explain your Mortgage Coach why. But it's powerful, man. So we're about halfway through this call. Josh and I really wanted to crush it as it pertained to your why. I know if you come to these Tuesday calls and you've heard me talk about it, some people on the call might be just like, Dave, we're tired of talking about why, because I do it so often. But I guess I just can't emphasize enough. It's just something that for me personally, it's had a lot to do with where Mortgage Coach is today. And it's something that's very clear and obvious to me that the Mortgage Coach loan officers that get the most value from being on these calls, they get the most value from our technology and tool. Those are the loan officers that have an awesome and a very clear and a very personal Mortgage Coach why. So please also post your Mortgage Coach why in questions or chat, or email it to me at Dave@MortgageCoach. I have hundreds of Mortgage Coach whys from mortgage coaches, so I love to collect them. Josh, anything else you want to talk about why before we transition into some strategies and tactics and kind of try to pull some scripts out of you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it evolves. I think in the first, few years you're in the mortgage industry, maybe the first 5 years, I think the thing that was important to me, transparently, was making money. Like I had to survive. I had to make a car payment and a house payment, and that was that was honestly what was most important to me. And I wanted to do that with integrity, and I wanted to do it well. I mean, I got into the mortgage business because I got burned the day before a closing, and the rate ended up being 1% higher than what the gal had told me. But that was the most important why. And then somewhere in the process of the evolution of growing through this profession, the most important thing really wasn't me anymore. It was our team and the integrity that our team had. And then, that just kind of evolved into really the kind of integrity that you have with your clients. So anyways, I guess some people may be listening to that and they don't really have a strong connection. And I guess what I would say is that's okay. Maybe if you're feeling a little burned out in the industry, or you're feeling like you may have lost passion a little bit, get that Simon Sinek book, get that YouTube video, and go schedule yourself some time to just think about your why and what really drives you.
Yeah, take the time to write it down. If you have not articulated it, if you have not taken it from mind to paper, trust me, you've not done it. And if you have a team and you have peers that you're executing with, if you did not do it in a collaborative way, it's your why. It's not necessarily their why. And I would tell you, you can pull it off. You can come up with it yourself and then socialize it with your team, and you can get them on board. But it takes time. Could take months, could take years. Whereas if you do it the way Josh did it, where, I mean, at the end of the day, authorship is ownership. And if you author it with your team, you're going to own it a whole lot faster. So I hope everybody on this call takes heart to that. I hope this 32 minutes of just focusing on Josh's why, I hope it will get you guys to take action and really go deep, put it on paper, and please email, text, whatever. Get it to Mortgage Coach, share it with others. So Josh, I'm going to transition into strategies and tactics unless you want to go a little deeper on that one.
No, that's great.
All right. So when I interviewed Dave Ramsey a couple months ago, I thought he nailed it. This quote from Dave during my interview where he talked about always start a relationship going into the goals and then do the total cost analysis to show them how they're going to hit their goals. I think that's a powerful thought. Many loan officers do it. Many loan officers don't. I do want to get, just some idea of how often you're using Mortgage Coach. So I am going to post a question, here it is, where I want to get a feeling for just how often are you giving a total cost analysis to the families that you serve. This will be helpful for Josh and I as we continue to bring leadership to everybody. So everybody, I've only got like 10% of you have voted. So I always like to have 70% vote before we move on. The question is, how often do you give a Mortgage Coach total cost analysis to the families that you serve? Never, be honest. 20%, kind of the grinder. 50%, you're ad hoc with it. 70%, you do it most of the time. And then all of your families get a total cost analysis, which I'm really happy to see that that's winning. Not happy that everybody hasn't voted yet. So folks, help Josh and I get into this call. Cast your vote. So Josh, any guesses on how everybody's going to vote here, in the poll that I'm pushing right now? Any gut opinions on this?
I would probably say 50% wins.
Well, I am proud to say that all families won at 30%. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we still have a lot of work to do, but I have to say I'm pretty happy. I would have liked to have seen. Well, I'd like to see everybody on this call at 100%, delivering total cost to your families. Hopefully, the remainder of this call, Josh and I will make a great case why you need to get to 100%. So, Josh, let's kind of go from why to making the case that every time you get up to bat with a family, you owe it to the family and you owe it to yourself to give them a total cost analysis. You ready for that, my friend?
I'm ready.
All right. So think about it. This is your competition out there in the marketplace where loan officers are doing transactions for families. What they're giving the family is part of their experience. Looks like a transaction, feels like a transaction. It's not unique or different. At Mortgage Coach, we want to help you put graphs and charts in the back pocket or in the purse of the families that you serve. And we want to help you put a video on that so they're connecting with you. So Josh, first, thanks to whoever took this picture. So appreciate you sending some pictures to bring color to your office experience. Why don't you, just describe what it's like to be in your office? It looks like this is a stand-up desk. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious that Sarah started last week with sit equals the new smoking. We just transitioned the majority of our LOs into stand-up desks. Or I guess anybody who wants a stand-up desk is available.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had a stand-up desk for, I don't know if it's 5 years, but for sure over 3 years, and I love it. I'm actually in a hotel room right now sitting down, and I feel like my energy is not the same as if I'm working standing up. By the way, I think it's not a rabbit trail, but just how long have you been doing that, and any performance differences that you've seen personally or from your team since you've made that?
Yeah, I think we switched over in July, so it's been about 3 months. Hard to quantify performance gains because we have such a seasonal business, but without a doubt, in my opinion, when you're delivering your video, because I don't know how many we do a day, but I bet I pump out 5 to 8 per day, and I just think that the energy behind those videos are certainly greater. And then also we're when we do a first question, I thought that Dave Ramsey's quote was really good. Start a relationship by finding the goals of the person. I just feel as if you're standing and you're having that first call kind of interview or compatibility interview, as we kind of call it, you just feel so more involved in the conversation than if you're sludged back in the chair. So I feel better. I don't know that I could quantify results for you.
Yeah, no worries. It's a start. Well, I want to remind everybody, while Josh records the majority of his videos behind his desk, and now he's standing up, I want to remind everybody that you can record the video, from your mobile device. So you can log into the Mortgage Coach app. You can, create a video. You can replace a video and update the video. So we've made it super simple for you to do this wherever you're at. I mean, you could be out in your car, you could be in an open house, you could be anywhere. I even urge you. This was a picture that my daughter. I did a site visit with Chris, one of our top mortgage coach loan officers, and you can even use your mobile device at your desk. So we're trying to make it easy for you to just do it on the go. But I do love the idea of standing. I mean, I believe in it. It's great to see that's how you're doing it. So Josh, let's go through your process, at least how you're delivering Mortgage Coach at the point of sale. I know typically you're emailing it. So if you could just give us a flavor for what questions did you ask before this email goes out, and then what did you say to the family or to the referral partner before this email goes out so that when they get the email, they click on it? Because that's a challenge I hear from I don't hear it a lot, but loan officers that are not crushing it with our product, it's you send the link, but if you didn't frame it right, the family doesn't know what they have. So if you could just share, what are you doing before this email goes out, and then give us a little perspective on what's in this email that makes it great.
Okay, so Dan Kennedy, the master of marketing here. I'm going to go back to Father Dan. He always talks about the mouse and the cheese. And what he's talking about is, as a marketer, you have to come up with the cheese, or a salesman, something that the person is after, and the mouse is the public that is looking for something that attracts them. Not to say that our clients are rodents. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is we have to come up with something compelling to get our clients interested. And so when I'm on the phone and we have a standard 10 questions that basically just gives us an idea of where the client's going, how long they're going to be in the house, what's the estimated sales price, what's their ability for down payment, do they have there's some specific physician issues that we run into all the time that I kind of run down. And then these open up some other conversation points. But when I get to the end of this question, I just immediately start selling Edge. So I have zero problem with anybody opening, 100% opening the presentation and watching the video, or if for some reason that's not working for them, they click on the PDF. I never have somebody not open it, I swear to you. But that's because I immediately go, as soon as I'm done with my questions, well, Dave, it sounds like the right solution for you is going to be one of our physician mortgage products because you want to go to a loan amount greater than 80%, you do not want to pay mortgage insurance, you want to close on an employment contract, and you have student loans. So whatever those issues are in your world, you just, whatever you have envisioned for them as a solution, you just start selling that and saying that is this, it sounds like this is going to be the right solution for you because of these challenges or because of these issues. What I'd like to do is create a total cost analysis that is going to compare and contrast several potential solutions. Now, all these solutions are good, but based on the amount of time you're going to be in the home, I think we're going to find one or two that is paramount, that we're going to want to end with. So with your permission, I'm going to send you a link to our client questionnaire, and then once I gather a little more information, I'm going to send you this total cost analysis that's going to make choosing the right loan solution ridiculously simple. And then I'll walk through that with you, answer any questions, we'll make a decision together, and then we can walk down the path of getting you qualified for your house.
So that I call it a trigger word, ridiculously simple. Is that a phrase that you literally say every single time you're getting ready to position and send a total cost analysis?
Yes.
So, folks, did you catch that? I mean, first of all, this was recorded. You guys can go back and listen to this. I highly recommend that you write down what Josh said, and then write down what you're going to say, because you're not Josh. But get really clear, and I hope you also got the takeaway that he's asking these questions, and then he is selling, describing, and educating on the total cost analysis. So by the time they get this email, oh my goodness, I mean, this is his product. This is the product of I asked you questions, I know your goals, and now I'm giving you a roadmap to achieve your goals with a mortgage, and they're not getting a rate quote. They're not getting today's rates. They're not getting a pre-qualification. They're not getting, I hear a lot of people that come up with their own names. There are names that are great, but the total cost analysis is a powerful term. So, what are you calling it? And I urge everybody on this call, I think you could ROI out the entire hour you spent. Forget about the why, just around that scripting, and you crushed it, Josh. So let's go through the whole experience. You send it to the family. 100% of the families click on it. By the way, if you're on this call and 80 to 90% of your families don't click on it, it's not Mortgage Coach's fault. It's you didn't ask the right questions. You didn't give them a compelling reason so that when they got this email, they're excited. So it's what you're doing, because I've interviewed too many top-performing, badass mortgage professionals doing it right. Families will click on that link, regardless if it's an FHA loan, regardless how affluent they are, regardless of how much money they make. They will click on that link if you ask the right questions and you framed it right. And they will be blown away if you do it right. So Josh, we also teach, loop in the realtor if it was a referral from the realtor, loop in the financial advisor if it was a referral from the financial advisor. What are you saying to partners so they understand the value of a mortgage coach, and how do you integrate them into your experience?
So before I answer that, let me just take one step back. So when I ask those 10 questions and then I start immediately selling the total cost analysis and the ridiculously simple solutions, I'm actually not trying to get them to open the presentation at that point. I'm trying to get them to complete a loan application, because I very, 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 very rarely will send out a total cost analysis without a loan application. And so, and of course, we don't call it loan application anymore. My mentor, Jeremy Forcier over there, said in one of your calls, he called it a client questionnaire, and that was it. We call it client questionnaire now. So, at the conclusion of that, I say, Dave, with your permission, I'd like to send you an email with a link to our client questionnaire. It won't take more than 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll allow me to send you that total cost analysis. And that's really going to be the key for us deciphering which is the best loan for you with the least amount of cost. So again, I'm selling the total cost analysis like it's this, it's the cheese. It's what you need to make an informed decision. but you have to clear my process. And my process is fill out the client questionnaire. Then once you do that, then I'm going to give you the cheese. Your prize is you get to click on the link and you get to see the total cost analysis. So I just want to make sure that was there's a little discernment there.
Yeah, no, let's make sure we nail that. So now what do you say to a realtor or a referral partner so that they see the value of the total cost analysis and it's part of your partner value proposition?
Yeah, well, it makes it really easy for a realtor when they work with the client that says, oh yeah, I've already got a lender, right? And they go, oh, great. So did they give you a total cost analysis? Did they compare and contrast different loan options over the time horizon that you want to be in the house? Did you tell your loan officer that you wanted to own the house for 5 years and then you thought you might be relocating to a different state? Oh no, none of that really came up. Oh, okay. Well then, how about this? How about I just introduce you to my lender, because number one, I know he'll get your loan closed and you won't be homeless on move-in day, which is super important. And number two, he may be able to actually figure out there's a program that would have less cost, and there's no obligation. You don't have to use him. That could be, but just get a second opinion on this big decision. And if you kind of just educate your realtors on that and how we act, then we get them on the phone, we ask the questions. Man, it seems like there might be another solution that works well for you. How about we complete the client questionnaire and I'll get you that total cost analysis. And it works great for us.
Yeah, and I recommend all mortgage coaches on this call, if you're not already doing this, make sure all of your referral partners, you do a total cost analysis for them. Make sure they understand what it's like to go through your experience. Now they may not be picking a specific loan, but make sure they really understand the process of these are the questions I ask, this is the deliverable that they get, and make sure that they have your mobile app downloaded. So if you're doing a meeting in a coffee shop, you should literally be right there in the coffee shop. It only takes a minute or two, texting them a link to a total cost analysis. You pulled out your own mobile device, you walked them through a strategy, you text it to them, you make sure they have it downloaded. And of course, if they're already a partner of yours, they already know how you roll, make sure that you're constantly driving them through the experience in a way that's valuable. Don't make it about the technology, make it about the story or the strategy. Think of Mortgage Coach as we are a canvas, we are a paintbrush for an artist, and we're just helping you deliver your advice and helping you create a map for a family to achieve their goals, through our product. So make sure you're doing that. So Josh, go ahead.
Just one more thing on that, Dave, in regards to looping in the partners. I know you guys have talked many times before about, CCing the referral partner or, forwarding it to them afterwards, somehow getting them involved. But one thing that I'll tell my partners is, I'm CCing you on this, so A, the direction I'm moving with the client, but B, inside this report, it's going to show how much money we need for closing costs. It's going to show the loan type. And so a lot of your questions in regards to how you structure your offer can be answered inside the TCA. So I try and bring those referral partners into, they're busy, they got a lot going on, but I try and find a reason to bring them into the TCA as much as possible.
Yeah, no doubt. It helps them be informed. And by the way, that reminded me when I interviewed Jeremy and his assistant. By the way, awesome call. I literally had Jeremy and his two assistants, his marketing assistant and his production assistant. So it was three of them on a 1 hour call. And when I asked his production assistant, what is your favorite tool? I did not expect the answer because I was like, CRM, my LOS. She said Mortgage Coach. And I was like, okay, thank you. You didn't really need to do that, but okay. And I asked her why. And she says, because I can, by having that total cost analysis with Jeremy's video, I know exactly what Jeremy told the customer. So make sure you're giving your production assistant, use TCA as part of your handoff so they know what was presented to the family, how you put color around it, and make sure that's part of your perfect handoff between you and your production assistant. And for you loan officers on this call that don't have an assistant, that's your handoff to your processor. Make that part of how you do business, not only on the front end for the family, not only on the front end for the for the referral partner, but on the back end. It's a great strategy. By the way, Josh, do you guys already do that, or is that a new idea for you?
Yeah, I mean, my production partner, that works side by side with me, Jordan, he's in my email, so I don't forward it to him. But the first thing he would do as he was setting up a file is he would look at, the TCA and look how that was created, and then build off of that. But he's going into my sent email versus, into his email box. And then as we move on into processing, we're sending that to the processor, saying, hey, here's what the client's going to expect at closing. If payment changes or cash to close changes, this is your benchmark, this is the expectation sent with the client, and you got to let us know.
Love it. By the way, for those of you that have submitted some things, some questions, thank you for doing that. I'll do my best to get to one or two of them as we close. By the way, Jim said that the TRID scripts link isn't working, so if you could check on that, Marcy. Also, email support@mortgagecoach.com if anybody needs anything from us. So, Josh, we've only got about 9 minutes left, but I do want to, let's spend less than 5 minutes. Let's spend 2 or 3 minutes kind of netting out some of these mortgage strategies that we laid out, and then let's close with some takeaways and some homework assignment for everybody. Which one do you want to talk about? You want to talk about this PMI? No PMI, with PMI? Do we want to talk about the 30-year fixed combo, or which strategy do you want to talk about, and what color do you want to provide?
Sure, let's go into the PMI, no PMI. I mean, basically the idea is the difference between a purchase and a refi strategies, and both are really powerful, but I think this has certainly become more of a purchase market. So that's something that we're doing all the time, where we're putting multiple different mortgage insurance or non-mortgage insurance options up there. And I alluded earlier in the call to a presentation that I did this morning that I thought the best option was going to be an LPMI solution for this guy. He had about 3% down, and I was just, foregone conclusion, that's the way we're going to go. And if I would have just been sending out a fee worksheet, I would have just given him one option. As we, implemented and put all the different loans, we did a 30-year fixed with mortgage insurance, a 30-year fixed without mortgage insurance, which is your LPMI, and then an FHA. And indeed, in the first 7 years, the 30-year fixed with no MI, the LPMI option, was the best option, and that came out the leader. But what surprised me was, if I looked at a longer-term horizon for this guy, 15 years, the FHA loan actually came out ahead. And if I looked at a 30-year timeline, it came out ahead as well. So, I guess it just enables me to, yeah, that's it right there, Dave. I guess it just, yeah, no worries. I guess it just, it enables me to be a better, to give better advice and to have a very different conversation. I mean, my next conversation with this guy will really be around, what does your life look like in 15 years? How old are the kids? What's going on with the job? What kind of goals are out there that I may not know of? And do we make a decision that serves our short-term goals, which is going to be the LPMI decision with the $88 less a payment, or do we make a decision for longer-term goals? And that discussion could answer all kinds of could bring up all kinds of other things, like, oh, okay, well, maybe we should be playing around with putting an extra $25 a month into principal reduction so we get that thing paid off before retirement. It just enables you to have a more a deep conversation. And if we go back to what those group of doctors told me, the number one thing they wanted was trusted advice. When you get done with a conversation like this isn't somebody trying to sell you something. This is somebody trying to find out what your plans are and trying to craft the right solution. So powerful, really good stuff.
Love it, love it. So I love this quote from Simon Sinek, and if you've heard the interview with Simon, at one point in the call shared a story about a loan officer that he used that he would never use again. I mean, how cool is that? And then he went on to say, now that I know about Mortgage Coach, I would have asked my loan officer to use Mortgage Coach, and if he would have said no, it would have been a deal breaker. because it was an indicator that you weren't thinking beyond yourself.
Mm.
So, I thought that was really powerful. And again, my goal in today's call with Josh, because he's got a great why, it's evolved over a year. He's such a good tactician of this business. He has a very well thought out process, and then he implements it and executes it. But for anybody on this call that you answered the question when I did the survey that you're not delivering every family your TCA, I want you to start asking why. Why not? Why is it that you're not doing that? Because I would make the statement, Josh, I'll let you bring it to everybody on the call that's not, that one, you're not serving that family with the best possible service that you have, and you're not serving yourself. There's another layer of value you can get for yourself. You give a lot, you get a lot, and giving a mortgage coach TCA to every family is giving a lot. So Josh, anything to add to that before we go into wrap-up mode?
No, I think that's deep what Simon was getting to there, and I think the point is that this type of more detailed analysis and probing to ask more questions so that we can craft a better solution on the surface serves us, right? Because hey, we want to have the best solution so you do business with us. But it's interesting, on the other side of that fence, it serves the family. I mean, you're gonna put them on the right course that's gonna serve them for the next 10, 15 years while they're in the house. Quality stuff. I agree with you. If you're not creating those, you're probably not caring enough for your client.
Yeah, or at least you're not executing on that. So remember, every time you add a video, everybody's in the loop. So you're touching everyone, you're connecting with everyone, whether you're doing that at your desk, stand-up desk preferably, with Josh on that, or stand up, grab your mobile phone, and record a video. So homework assignment is for everybody to create a mortgage coach video today. If you don't do it today, you're not going to do it tomorrow. So please create one today. And if you do forward it to me today and you text it to me at 949-370-7393, I will get back to you by the end of the week with some feedback on that. So please forward them to us. Some more feedback and suggestions from Dave Ramsey during the call that I had with him. He talked about how important it was to be authentic, to net it out for people, keep it short, and keep it under a minute and 20 some odd seconds. Josh, how long are most of your videos?
I would say they're between a minute and 2 minutes. I think that minute and 30-second mark is spot on.
Yeah, so make sure you're netting it out. We've given you a lot of tools, a lot of scripts. You can download those from the handout section, or you can email support@mortgagecoach.com. We'll also put a link to some of these handouts, these TRID talking points. We'll put these links where we put the recording of today's call. Hopefully you'll re-listen to this call, share it with other folks. We included a checklist to what is a great mortgage coach video. What are the elements that should be in that video? And then we gave you a little analysis. How's your energy? Did your message align with the goals of the realtor? Make sure you download this stuff. Make sure you go through it and take action. Let's face it, the world is moving fast. And if you do things right the first time, you're going to be a lot more successful. So Josh, we're last minute of the call. Anything you want to make sure we cover before we wrap it up?
I may just bounce back to that message you shared earlier from Tom Ferry about how important video was, and that made me think of a realtor that I work with. His name's Jake Breen. He's a Berkshire Hathaway office here in Salt Lake, and he has a real concern that mortgage and real estate are really going to be kind of commoditized and brought more like a digital use than a personal use, similar to how kind of Uber's been done to replace kind of the taxi, and how you can shop for so many things online without any personal interaction. And I think Tom's probably seeing that same thing, that things are becoming very commoditized. And if we don't do something to really make a connection with the client and to stand out, and video is a phenomenal tool for that, we risk losing a lot of those clients that just see us as a commodity and don't see through us actually being a person. So I would just, I'm excited to watch that video by Tom, but I think that's really important.
Well, it's a quick 2-minute hit, and for everybody on this call, this is a quote that I read often. I've internalized it, but I believe this, that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Let's face it, the world is changing fast, and we need to change how we do things. You know, you need to be able to get super savvy. This is a push I have to you, Josh. Get super savvy using your mobile device within the sales process. You know, get really thoughtful around how you're driving families into mobile experiences. You know, because let's face it, that's where we're doing life, on a mobile phone. So whether you're emailing your advice and you're pushing them into downloading the app, viewing it, whether you're meeting with a planner or referral partner and you're pulling out your mobile device, we have to get awesome at that. So that's why every Wednesday, myself and Jacob, we're just doing mobile conversation training. We try to keep it to 30 minutes. It usually goes 40 minutes. We do have a recording of this, so make sure everybody on this call goes through this training. But we want to turn you into modern executives. And to me, a modern executive is someone that just maximizes the use of their mobile device. So, and the families that they serve, the partners who they serve, they are able to integrate their advice in that way. So please join us for our Mobile Wednesday, 11 o'clock Pacific. We're gonna teach you how to show things, share things, create things, and it's a great call. And with that, I am going to go into wrap-up mode. Please let Josh and I know what you thought of today's call. Did we knock it out of the park and wow you beyond your expectations? Did we have some base hits? Good solid takeaways? Let us know what we did. If you're a guest on this call and you want to get a demo of Mortgage Coach and you want to learn more, check the bottom option. So we're 2 minutes over, but you get the last 30 seconds, Josh. Anything you want to share as we wrap up today's call in 30 seconds or less?
Work on your why. Just spend some time, put it in the Outlook calendar, and get it done. I think it'll impact you as much or more than anything you can do professionally and personally.
Right on. Hey, Josh, I have got a lot of people asking, what are your 10 questions? Would you mind forwarding a PDF or a deliverable of that I can make available on next week's call for everybody?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, and I also saw a lot of people ask for this presentation. On next week's call, I will have that, and Josh, forward over those questions and anything else that you think would be valuable. And bro, I'm grateful that you said no so that you could achieve your goals, and I'm grateful that you finally said yes and we got you on today's call.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Great week.